This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by the WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman, out here in Texas. Mauricio, how are you?
I'm very, very well. I'm very happy. I feel how the world is turning. This is the biggest event after the pandemic, and to see such a great match in a beautiful stadium with so many fans is going to be spectacular.
Mauricio, 70,000 fans on Saturday night. How special will it be to have such a large attendance back at a sporting event, back in our sport, back in boxing?
Well, it is after many moments of anxiety, of suffering from so many people around the world, with still uncertainty. It is very important to see something happening. It's highly motivational, and it's a great fight. It's something that is going to really have the world attention on May 8th.
Let's touch on the fight now. Canelo-Saunders, May 8th for WBC, the WBA and the WBO world titles on the line. What do you make of it, Mauricio? Now we're only days away.
Well, it's I really enjoy, I like and promote unifications. The fans want to see one champion per division, and that's something that is special. I'm very happy to see that both are going into the ring. This fight is long overdue. Saunders is a two-division world champion, undefeated, southpaw, technician, intelligent, crafty. So it's going to be a tremendous fight.
For the last few days throughout this week, Billy Joe's and his team have spoken about the ring size. It's been agreed now 22 feet. But I just want to get your thoughts on it as a WBC president. What are your rules on the ring size in any form of a fight, whether it be a championship fight or a non-championship fight? And what did you make of the comments throughout the week?
Well, the rules are clear. Of course, everything goes into the jurisdiction where the fight takes place. Whether it's in Texas, if it's in London, in Mexico, in Japan, the local jurisdiction is the one that has rules. However, contracts are also something to consider. When you have something agreed in a contract, then that is what has to be governed by. And the rule is 18 feet minimum, 24 maximum. And then if it is not stipulated in a contract, it's the local commission who ultimately has the final say. So I'm not familiar with what is not in the contract. And I hope it has been resolved and everything will be fine.
Mauricio, talk to me about Cinco de Mayo as well, obviously falling on that weekend. Just explain to those who are not familiar with it what Cinco de Mayo is.
Cinco de Mayo is a major holiday, major celebration of Mexico. It's the Battle of Puebla. It's in 1868 when Mexican soldiers defeated the French army from an invasion. And that's one of the greatest victories in Mexican history. And in the United States, those who migrated from Mexico to the USA have had a great tradition of celebrating Cinco de Mayo, which led to great boxing events being held on that weekend. And then it led to many people going out to celebrate. So Chavez, Oscar de la Hoya, Eric Morales, Barrera, Marquez, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, even Triple G, and now Canelo Alvarez owns that date. So Cinco de Mayo, September 16 are the two highest dates for Mexican celebrations, but the greatest fights that take place on that day.
Talking about Canelo, when you reflect on his journey throughout his career, I know you know him as well as probably anybody in boxing. What do you remember from when you first came across him when he was a young 15-year-old boy who was just starting out in the sport?
Well, he was a young, very shy, freckled kid with red hair. He was very shy, but always had that mind and those eyes, profound eyes. He was very hungry, he was humble, very disciplined, and he had big dreams. So he has been closely associated with the WBC for many years, from the Youth World Championship to the Continental Americas to the International, then the Silver Championship, then the World Championship. He has won 3 WBC in different weight categories. But he started like any fighter in the world, hungry and with a vision to try to become someone in life.
I know Saul is the favourite fighter for many Mexican nationals, but for yourself, throughout your years working in the sport, Mauricio, who are your favourite Mexican fighters when you reflect on however many years it is that you have been involved in boxing now?
Well, Canelo is building his legacy. So we will know where he stands in the history as far as popularity and achievements when he retires. My first hero was Mantequilla Nápoles. John H. Tracy knocked him out and took the title away. Carlos Zárate was another great of my heroes. Salvador Sanchez. And of course, Julio Cesar Chavez, one of the greatest boxers in history.
Chavez is still very heavily involved in the sport, as you mentioned in there, Mauricio. So when you do see him, what do you get? Like, does that young boy, that fan of his, come out in you?
Yes, we were always with Chavez. He was a WBC champion for many years. He was very dear to my father, to my family. But now, when the battle that he has won now outside the ring, conquering addictions, 12 years. Completely clean. I respect him so much. I admire him, and what he does every day is try to save people from falling into addiction. So every time I see him, we have a great time talking about boxing, about life, but he's a great inspiration.
Moving away from this card, Mauricio, I want to talk to you about some other boxing things coming up. Ryan Garcia, first and foremost, pulled out of his bout with Javier Fortuna. The interim title was due to be on the line, but he pulled out for his own well-being. He wasn't feeling good at the moment, struggling with his own mental health. Just your thoughts on Ryan's decision to do so, and also to speak out so openly about it.
That's an example. That's exemplary. I respect him, I admire him, because to do so is going to help so many people who are going through the same difficulties. The pandemic has brought tremendous mental concerns to all of us. Every single person has at one point felt anguish, has felt crisis, has felt sadness, and I'm very happy that he decided to take care of his own before going into the ring. We will support him. We will be by his side. We are trying to be close to his team to offer the best help we can provide for his recuperation, and we will be supporting him.
I know it may not feel right to talk about it just yet, but what will happen now with regards to that mandatory status to Devin Haney if he was to beat Jorge Linares on the 29th? Where do things stand with that?
Right now, what we have to do, number one, is the health of Ryan. We're going to leave him all the time that he needs to address his situation, and we will plan out when he's ready to return for him to have an opportunity to see whenever we will evaluate. Fortuna has had such bad luck. So many fights have fallen. He was going to fight Linares, he was going to fight Luke Campbell, he was going to fight everyone, and without his responsibility, these fights have fallen out. We are waiting. We're speaking with a Golden Boy who had signed such fight. They had a written contract, and we're going to see what they would like to do and try to accommodate to continue with this great tournament in the lightweight division.
And Mauricio, there are some fights coming up. I just want to get your thoughts on a lot of World Championship fights on the horizon. Starting off with Haney Linares, as we spoke about it there. What do you make of that fight? Jorge Linares, a brilliant athlete, he's won so much within boxing. Will he be the man to overcome what many see as kind of the young gun in that lightweight division alongside the likes of Teofimo Lopez, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia?
It's a tremendous fight. Linares can never be counted out. Legendary champion, multiple division champion, has power, has speed, has technique, has a great experience. And Devin Haney is a superstar in the making. He's powerful, he's fast, he's hungry. So it's a great combination, and we will see what happens.
The week before that, an undisputed fight. You just said you like one champion in any division. Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez. Your thoughts, Mauricio?
Tremendous fight. One of the best fights you can match at this time of life. Josh Taylor the winner of the World Boxing Super Series, defeating Prograis, which was a tremendous fight. Ramirez, who is having a good run, defending titles, unifying titles, and I'm very happy to see them going into the ring with all the 4 belts at stake. So it's going to be very interesting.
And then we've got Neri and Figueroa out of a week before Taylor Ramirez. Once again, Mauricio, what are you expecting from that fight?
Well, Neri, he was a very solid bantamweight champion, had problems with the weight. Now he's a super bantamweight champion. He's also unifying. So it's good. Figueroa is a tremendous fighter, so it's a great match. And I'm just so happy to see so many good fights happening. I believe we're living a golden era of boxing. Maybe without noticing it, without knowing it for certain, but we're going through a golden era. Look what's happening all over the world. So many platforms, so many networks, so many promoters, so many promotions, and so many champions fighting against the best. So it's a very good time.
Of course, as he is here, I'd like to talk about Tyson Fury, another one of your champions. A lot of talk about the Anthony Joshua fight. Will it happen? Will it not? Of course, you've got Deontay Wilder in the background and an ongoing court case there. But Mauricio, do you believe we will see that fight now? Do you think it is edging ever closer and we will see an undisputed heavyweight title fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua?
Well, the WBC has done everything within its power to accommodate, to be flexible, to support the fact of ultimate unification of this magnitude. We have been waiting for a long time for things to happen. We have ruled in different manners, being flexible and supportive of the unification, but we are the same as you. We don't know what's happening, and hopefully it will happen.
Do you have your own cut-off point in mind when you would like to see either that fight happen, or you may have to say to Tyson, you have to fight somebody else before mandatories start to get thrown into the equation?
The pandemic hit right in the middle of everything, and we have been flexible. So the ultimate idea has been to have the unification, the 4 championships in the line. Tyson is desperate. He wants to go into the ring, and he needs to get into the ring. And of course, there will be a time when things have to move one way or another. But at this time, I will continue to wait. The WBC Board of Governors has been supportive, so we will wait and hopefully have some announcement coming soon.
Final thing, Mauricio, before I leave you to enjoy the rest of your night. I forgot to ask it earlier on, but when I spoke to you after Canelo Yildirim, you said to me you needed to look into how people would work into a mandatory position on the back of that fight. Could you elaborate on it any more for me now? I know back then you wanted to kind of go away, think about it a bit more. Can you elaborate on it now, or have you looked into it?
Yes, absolutely. We do that every single division. The fact is that boxing is a sport that sometimes legalities come into the picture and have difficulties, because when you're a mandatory contender, you have rights. So what we are trying to continue is to make sure that the process for a mandatory is as good as possible. There are instances when you don't have the real quality of challengers in a division, and you rush to do a final elimination bout just to have a mandatory, just to comply with a 1-year term of the rule, instead of being flexible and making sure that the mandatory contender is the best contender of the division. With so many different organizations, so many different belts, the quality of those challengers sometimes gets diluted. The case of Yildirim was very clear. He was mandatory due to something that happened in a fight against Dirrell. Then many other factors came into the picture, including the pandemic. And unfortunately, we ended up with something that was not the best event for the boxing world. So the franchise designation comes into play in a little bit, but we are certainly addressing each mandatory situation with a different approach.
Right, Mauricio, we will leave that there now because I know I will continue to speak to you in the coming weeks and ahead of a busy month for yourself. I appreciate your time as always. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thank you so much, and thank you for allowing me to show this special trophy. This trophy will be awarded to the winner of the fight as a gift from the WEC and Mexico to the world. So this is a one-piece, unique, 400 hours of work, handmade, and I hope that you like it.
I like it, Mauricio. I'm sure everybody else will as well. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. All the best, and let's have a great show this Saturday.